Welcome back to Closet Cosplay, the podcast where we create con-worthy cosplays on a closet budget. I'm Michelle.
And I'm LJ.
And what are we talking about today, LJ?
Today, it was my turn to say what we were talking about, and I didn't do it, so we're going to do that right now. Today, we're actually going to be talking about a character that is very well known in the cosplay community, gaming community, pretty much anime community, anything, and that is Aerith Gainsborough from Final Fantasy VII, as well as many other Final Fantasy adjacent titles.
Nice. So, you say very familiar, but I have never played a Final Fantasy game.
And this was a very shocking revelation to me.
It is shocking. I feel like I should. I own one, actually. I just haven't played it yet. I think I own...
Which one do you own?
Final Fantasy X remake. Final Fantasy X remake, I think, is what I own.
That's a good one. That is up there with a lot of people's favorites. That's actually Vince's favorite Final Fantasy game. In fact, one of the tattoos that he has is from that game. So
nice.
It's a family favorite, we'll say.
I will play it at some point in my life. I just, have not gotten around to it, which I've heard is a very, very sad thing that I need to play Final Fantasy. But we're not talking about my lack of playing Final Fantasy today. We're talking about a character from Final Fantasy VII, right? Which they just recently remade.
They did. They just recently released a remake of it. Now it's episodic, so you can't play through the whole game this time. I don't remember how many episodes they're doing, so I'm not surprised to see this in a suggestion, which is actually where we got this one from today. We got another suggestion from Maddie, and she requested a Final Fantasy VII Aerith, and she specifically used the name Aerith, and so I'm gonna touch on that just briefly. So her Japanese name is Aerith in the games, and in the English versions of the game, it's Aeris. So you can say either one, but when somebody is talking to me and they say Aerith, I imagine that they're pretty familiar with the franchise, or they're an older player of the game, because that's just something that you didn't really see start to come back into fashion until recently. And I know it's a little bit weird with a name, but and in her suggestion form, she wanted to be, I asked, well, why do you want to cosplay this character? And she said, they're pretty, they're dressed pretty, but they're comfortable. And I would definitely say, if you've never seen Aeris before, or Aerith, she does look, it looks like a comfortable cosplay as far as cosplays go. Now, you saw the pictures of her, at least.
Yes, I did. I saw 3 very different art style pictures of Aerith, and I think the crazy blocky oldest one was probably my favorite. However, the first one you sent me, what was that, from the original game you said, or was that just a piece of artwork?
That is concept art from the original game, and the profile picture, or it's one of the profile pictures, is from that artwork too. So that's official artwork is the first one.
Gotcha. So the first one I saw, I think the first question I asked you, I was like, is she a cat girl? And LJ said, no, that's just her bangs. And I said, oh.
Yeah.
That's how much I know.
So, I mean, it's just funny because, looking at that, and especially because, that is not the best. I grabbed a PNG file, which is supposed to be transparent, but clearly somebody has converted a JPEG into a PNG for this purpose.
Right.
That's what all those artifacts are on it. But anyway, so yeah, she has a very unique hairstyle, and at first glance, I can definitely see why somebody would misconstrue that as cat ears. But yeah, Aerith is an interesting character, and yeah. I'm going to go ahead and say up front there will be mild. Actually, I'm going to say major spoilers for Final Fantasy VII. If you have not played the game yet and don't want to be spoiled, and somehow have managed to miss every spoiler for Final Fantasy VII for the past 12, 15 years, I'm amazed, but just fair warning from now on.
AKA me. Yeah. Me. I am that person.
Yeah, you are that person. It was just funny because you probably have been spoiled by it, but you didn't know what you were seeing. That's been my experience with a lot of stuff.
That's fair.
You don't know what you're saying. But anyway, so the character itself, you're introduced to very early in the game, and she's basically just actually, she might be the very first character you see in the cinematic, at the opening cinematic, and she's just this girl who sells flowers in the city. Which is actually kind of interesting because the city is very dystopian, mechanical, steampunky, industrial, but she has managed to find this abandoned church that this light can come through, and that's like the only place where these flowers grow. And so she takes these flowers and she sells them in the city. So she has this sort of
What
like,
a
even just from
sweet
the
backstory.
yeah, I know. So you kind of, even just from that little bit of a backstory, you can kind of see how that's sort of represented. She's, you know, simple and pretty and kind of that girl next door, innocent kind of appearance. And she does wear very comfortable looking clothing for that purpose. But also, and it's one of the things that I like is, so you look at Aeris and she's got this little pink dress and she's got her hair tied up real nice, and like that looks like a normal Sunday dress kind of thing going on, and then she's got combat boots on.
I love that.
I love that contrast. I think that contrast is great, and it really helps ground that character again in the fact that like the city that she lives in is rough, and it's not a happy place, and like you kind of get that more feeling of like, yeah, she's still trying to maintain some of that beauty and innocence, but at the same time, reality is what it is, and you need combat boots on for it.
I
So
love that.
yeah, she's a really interesting character, and I enjoy her a lot. So I'm really happy to see that somebody suggested her, because when you look at her, that is a costume that you could throw together with stuff you might actually have in your closet. This is a very easy, true closet cosplay kind of thing that you could do.
Oh, absolutely. I think any like close to blush pink dress would work here.
Braid your hair, throw on a pink dress, and you're pretty much done. But
and if you got the combat boots, you're golden.
Oh, exactly. But Maddie did give us a little bit more room to work in this. So
yeah,
looking at her, you know, because we always have people rank. You know, what's the most important thing to you out of these 4 things? You can rank them. It's your accuracy, your affordability, attention grabbing aspect, and how comfortable it is. And we just ask you to rank those things on a 1 to 4 scale, most important to least important. And her thing was, the most important thing for her was attention grabbing. Next was affordability. I went backwards. The most important thing for her was accuracy. The second most important thing was comfort. The third most important thing was affordability, and attention grabbing was the least important.
Nice.
Which is good, because I would say with this character, you're not really, there's nothing super flashy you can do with that design looking at it.
It's not
right?
like we're attaching lights to armor or anything like that.
It's not going to be the most attention grabbing. However, because it is a well-known character, you're already going to get attention from people.
That's true, because people love, you know, they love the fandom, right? They love the game. So, I mean, the second they recognize you, they'll be like, oh, I recognize that character. I love that game, you know, and that's the fun of it, is doing something that's more well-known or that people are into. You won't have to have these people questioning who you are.
Yeah, and that is actually a very common thing, and sometimes it is complained a little bit about by some cosplayers, and I don't necessarily think I can understand the feeling, and their feeling is, oh, I worked really hard on this character that I'm portraying, this cosplay that I made all these custom pieces, and I sewed this stuff myself, and people just care about the one girl in the diva onesie that she ordered off Etsy for like $50. And it's like, but people like that character. Like,
right.
It's not, they're not critiquing, they're not having a costume contest. They're going, I really enjoy that character. I really love seeing that character in real life.
And they recognize it. It's like this immediate recognizable thing, you know?
Yeah, and that's what people care about. They care about seeing characters they know. And so you should never take it personally.
Right.
Or like as if it's some sort of critique on your ability or anything else. We all want to be recognized. It definitely feels good. So
yeah.
like, I'm not going to deny that, but
isn't it so much fun when you are cosplaying as that rare character that, you know, people don't know a lot about this fandom, and then you find the one person at the con who comes up to you and whispers and is like, I know who you are. Are you from this thing? And you're like, yes, you're the first person that got it right today. And then you immediately have this bond because you both know like exactly what's going on, where nobody else has really gotten it. So you feel like you're in on this little secret, and it's your own fun thing that you now have with someone else. And I think that has a special place too.
It does. And so don't ever feel messed up if only one person recognizes you.
That's the fun of it. Like, if you get one person to recognize you, like, I think that could be great. And if not, then like, not
And
that you're on an island by yourself, but like you found a treasure thing that you can help people like see. So if people are like, oh, I don't know who you are, you can be like, oh, well, it's from this thing. You should check it out. You know, you can share something you love with other people.
I've literally gone out of
Especially
my
if they think you
way.
look cool.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I've actually gone out of my way to look up an anime or a book series or a comic because I've seen that person at a con and I didn't know what they were, but I was amazed by the way that they looked. Yeah, I didn't
Right.
run up to them and tell them necessarily. Sometimes I do that because I'm just like, oh my God, you look amazing. But, you know, sometimes I don't do that, but I log that away and go, that's a really interesting looking character. I want to know more. So even
Right.
playing, going into a con or wherever as a lesser known character, you can be exposing people to something that they may end up really loving, and then they'll know who you are next time.
Oh, absolutely.
But you're not going to run into that problem with Aeris.
Yeah.
I am willing to bet beyond you, Michelle, most people probably recognize who she is that are into video games at least. And I will admit that, Final Fantasy VII is an older game at this point, obviously, PlayStation 1. But with the remake, I think you'll see more a sort of resurgence in that character and that series especially. So knowing that she said Aerith, which is an older name in my opinion, and based off of what she went into, I went because I did a bunch of research on this one, and I mostly did that because our lovely Michelle is having a birthday this week. I made sure to tell her happy birthday because this episode the day after.
When this comes out, I'll have it'll be a week since my birthday, I think.
Will it? On my thing it says that you're. Oh no, it doesn't come out this week. You're right. You're right. I was thinking it come out this week.
I am celebrating my birthday as we're recording this, so LJ has kindly taken on the responsibility of researching. Also, she knows this character in a personal way, has played the game, so I told her, I was like, you run with it, girl, you got it.
Yeah. So I mean, and honestly, like this was super easy to do on my own, because again, like you said, I know the character, I know what I'm looking for, and also because it's a very popular character, you're probably going to find quite a few pieces out there that people have already in their head like tagged. Oh, this is an Aeris piece or an Aeris.
Right. Well,
So
didn't you tell me that you actually found a full costume put together
yeah,
already?
there is already one that's actually a decent looking like I would say, honestly here, and I'll even link this in here for you, but because I don't think I've shown it to you yet, but it's $70 on the Amazon link that I'm looking at, and for what it is, $70 is not a bad deal necessarily. Like it doesn't include the
Oh, okay.
wig. Yeah, like that's a nicely done pre-made, and I'll include this link or this in the list for the Amazon list as well, so you guys can see it. But it doesn't include the shoes, it doesn't include the wig, so there's some things that you have to take into account.
Right.
So $70 is not bad, but I think you could probably get close to that and not have to spend, $70 on basically just a jacket and a dress. Now,
Yeah.
her
Yeah.
her top thing was accuracy, so this might be worth it more to Maddie to be like, you know what, this is spot on.
Right.
It's what I want. That $70 is worth it, and yeah, I may be spending a little bit more money at the end to get like a wig and boots if you don't already have boots, which that's gonna be a whole topic when I get to it. This may be worth it to you, and absolutely don't ever feel bad about buying a pre-made costume, because as cosplay becomes more prevalent in our culture especially, you're going to see more pre-mades, and those pre-mades are usually going to get better and better in quality, and this one looks like pretty good quality from what I'm seeing. They've got some people in here that have taken pictures, and I think it looks good. I think for $70 this is a good costume, and it's highly accurate.
Yeah.
However, if you did not want to do that, I have also included several choices of things that you could just piece this together, and you would well come under that $70, excluding probably the boots, because again, shoes are always going to be your money.
They're going to toss you over. Shoes and wigs.
Shoes and wigs are always going to be your money. So just pulling up my list here, I think. How did I lose my list again? I'm so good at this. Every time I have to pull up my list like 20 times. But you know what the strangest thing, the hardest, if you had to guess what item was the hardest for me to find, what would your guess be?
I imagine the dress was very simple because I'm thinking like pink dress, first page, done. I think the hardest thing was probably the necklace.
The dress was the hardest.
No way.
The dress was the hardest. I could not find a plain pink dress to save my life.
Yeah, I think that would be the first thing you'd find.
I thought so too. I thought this was a slam dunk. So I put about 4 dresses in this
Yeah,
list.
I did see that. I think that's smart though to give options.
There are options, and the thing about it is none of these are going to be highly accurate, which is irritating because in my mind, like you said, it should be, I would think, page 1, pink
Right.
button-up dress, done and done. The closest one that you're probably going to get is I put this one, it's this casual summer dress, beach spaghetti button-down midi sundress with pockets, and it's pink, and it's a button-down, but it's got brown buttons, and it does have pockets in the front. That's the only thing that's like, you're close. And then there's a few other in here that are pink when you squint your eyes. And what I mean by that is they have patterns on them. Like there's one that's a kind of a pink, it's pink and white striped, but the stripes are very small.
Actually, I was going to say that one's my favorite. It's also the cheapest, and I'm a bargain person, so maybe that's why I like it. But
so this is a $20 dress. Again, like you can start to get really, really cheap in here.
that
one would probably be my pick because it is, I think it's the closest in pictures that you would come. Does that make sense? Like when you take pictures of someone in this, you're going to not see the stripes, you're going to see the pink. And that's just simply the way our brains put those.
The first one on the list, the Berry Go, that one's the highly rated one. That one's got the highest rating.
It's got a high rating, and it is pinker in the pictures that I saw of people with it on.
Right. You've got the second dress you've got looks like you said that one was the most accurate, you thought?
Oh, no.
The third one is the cheapest.
The third one is the one I think is the most accurate.
Oh, okay.
Well, sorry, not necessarily. The last one is the one I think is the most accurate. The third one is the one I would pick if I were.
The third one's the one I would pick as well, I think.
Yeah, so like third one, that's the button-down spaghetti straps floral backless swing midi dress, which backless is not going to be a problem because Aeris also has a bolero jacket. Now her jacket is very unique, and it's definitely what I would have thought would be the harder piece to find. But honestly, I think there's a lot of really good choices out there. My personal favorite one was the one that's the slim short biker coat, and it's this like really like blood dark red leather jacket. One. And I think I love that. Great. Now it's long sleeved and it's not a bolero length. So meaning it's not going to come just at your rib cage. It's going to be, this is more like your midsection it'll fall, but I think it looks
maybe a little past your waist almost.
Yeah, I think it looks amazing. If you want,
I would wear this in real life. That's why I would buy it, because I would wear it in real life. That's a lot of my cosplay stuff. It's like if I can wear it outside of cosplay, like that just sells it for me, because then it's like multi-purpose, done, like easy.
Exactly. And that's one of the appeals of buying some of these things. Like, yeah, you could go buy that $70 costume, but that is only ever going to be a costume. You could take all of these pieces and wear them in your everyday life.
And I know Maddie personally, so I feel like if I were her, and I'm speaking to her right now, Maddie, if I were you, I would not worry about buying the costume that you're going to wear once. I would buy this really cute pink dress and this really cute red jacket, because you could totally pull these off outside of the costume.
I would absolutely wear these. And I put in a couple of other choices. There's one that's like, that jacket I think is a really good deal for $40, considering it's like highly rated too. Like
503 reviews too. It's not like it's 17 reviews. 503 people have said, hey, this is a nice jacket.
So that would be my personal choice. There is a cheaper, I put in just, if you're wanting something a little more simple, cheap, whatever, there's just a regular wine colored short sleeve bolero that you could very easily do up with like a little bit of detailing if you wanted to be crafty, but you don't even have to do that. Like, and then there's like a denim jacket that I put in there that's long sleeve that you could cut because it looks like it's made to be a little bit roughed up. And one of the reasons I included this one was it reminded me a lot of the original artwork and the original game character, but also because I have always liked versions of characters where they have done the battle scarred versions of the characters. Have you ever seen those?
I don't know.
So basically what that means is like instead of it just looking like the character as they look in their concept artwork, it looks like they've been in a battle. So they might have
Oh,
scratches
okay.
or their outfit is torn or something like that. And so I
Nice.
I was like, "Oh, it would be a really cool thing to see like a battle scar Aerith because that's a little bit different than what you would normally expect."
That would be
And
a neat spin on it.
yeah, it's a version of a spin. So you could do that. And so those are her like main parts, and some of obviously were easier than others, and her little then we get like to her accessories. And the accessories you kind of let's just start with the boots.
Okay.
Because uh here's my thing about the boots. There are so many different versions of what her boots look like that you can pretty much get away with anything. If it is a boot of almost any kind, you can wear it. And I'm gonna say that this is gonna highly depend on your comfort level, uh, because I think her normal boots are very flat. They just look like a normal brown. If you look at her original artwork, it's like a brown. I don't even think they have. Yeah, they've got like two buckles on them maybe, but they're just very simple brown combat boots. Her newer model has like they look more black maybe. They're higher up the calf, whereas the other ones are like ankle length. So brown, black, you don't have to really be 100% on it. You might even have something that'll work already in your closet. And you said you think Maddie has boots.
I think so. I think she has a boot that could work with this.
Now, the one I picked would be the one I would personally wear. It is
Mm-hmm.
it is a little bit more feminine, but that's just typically the way that I would want to wear it. But it has that spiky sort of I don't even remember what that kind of detailing is called.
Oh, what is
And
that?
it's like grommet or something like that. I can't think of what it's called. But
Grommets are the thing, like
that's
they're
around, yeah.
holes. Yeah, I don't think that's
Uh, I
a
can't think of what it's
stud.
called.
Is it a stud?
Stud. It's a stud. Yeah. It's studded, and this color of the boot is actually it's what I think it calls the wine color. So it's not truly brown, but I think it would do a better job of picking up her color
It
accents
would
in
tie
something
in
like
with the
the
jacket.
jacket.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Mm-hmm.
that was my reason that I picked that boot. It's also not an incredibly it's a $34 boot, and it's got almost 5-star reviews at 95. And it's like I think that's a great deal. That's personally the one that I would pick. However, they're just pick any boot you like. Like honestly, you're going to be fine no matter what boot you pick.
If
That's
I
sort of
were
my feeling on it.
if I were going to pick out a boot, I would probably go to Goodwill and find a boot,
Hmm.
clean it up, and wear it,
Yeah,
and
and
spend less than $10 on it.
hey, and you may not even want to clean it up because I kind of like the idea of she looks nice and pristine,
And
except
then
for
have
her
a
work boot.
roughed up, old,
Yeah,
worn boot. Yeah,
I,
for sure. Go to a
I
thrift
think it
shop and
makes
find
a
you a
neat.
worn boot.
Yeah, I think it makes a neat contrast, and it adds what it does what we call visual storytelling. You're doing
Yes.
visual storytelling with a boot like that. So it's sort of up to you, whatever your comfort level is, as long as you're hitting somewhere between black and brown and a buckle or two, you're golden. Because if Final Fantasy loves anything, it's freaking buckles. The further you go in the series, they just put more buckles on everything, so you're fine. Um, and then going
Buckle on
up.
a boot.
Yep, buckle and a boot. And Final Fantasy X, since that's the one you've got, if you ever play it, you'll definitely see what I'm talking about because I was like prime buckle time.
Nice.
Literally one of the characters. She's one of my favorite characters, Lulu. She's just her whole dress is made of buckles. It's just buckles
That
on
sounds fun
buckles.
to cosplay.
Oh, she is so cool looking. Like she's one of my like dreamy cosplays that if I ever got the time to like make something, because I don't think there's like no way you could call as a cosplay, I think, her, because it's so complicated. But she's very cool looking. Maybe one
Nice.
day. Maybe one day. But
Monday.
so no buckles on Aeris unless you go for the Kingdom Hearts variation in which she has like one purple belt. And then her boots have little buckles, and maybe if you count the little, I forget what those are, epaulette holders on the jacket.
Love epaulets.
Yeah, me too. Big fan
They're
of
so
epaulets.
fancy.
So fancy.
I
But
love them.
fortunately, none of that on Aeris. But she does have bangles. Now, this is another instance of there are so many different versions of what she is wearing on her wrists, even within the first game, because in her original artwork, she has what looks like silver. They're not bracelets, really. They almost look like cuffs, like big handcuff looking things. They're very difficult to describe. They're basically just something that doesn't normally exist. Like they're just in the game. And then in her character model in the game itself, they're gold. They're like these gold bands. And then in the later games, they're translated into bracelets, and they're usually like 3 different colors. There's like a silver, a gold, and like a rose gold. So this is another instance, you are going to be accurate no matter if you pick silver bracelets, gold bracelets, or a mixture of bracelets. The most important thing is that you have bracelets on both wrists.
Right.
Now, not Googled, but I literally typed into Amazon, because this is such a common character, you can type in Aerith whatever, and you're probably going to get results. And I did for almost everything. And I typed in Aerith bracelets. And these silver bracelets that I have on this list are one of the ones that popped up. They also come in a gold variant, but it's a 2 set. So it's got both of them in there. And they're these thick silver cuff looking things, which would definitely read and definitely be accurate to the character. And you could pick, I believe there's also a gold variation for them. Yeah, it says gold, silver tone plated. So you could do a gold or silver, whichever one you want to do, and you would be totally fine. I think those were like the simplest things that I found.
Isn't there a thing with like, depending on your skin tone, silver or gold will look better? Is that a thing, or is that a myth?
Yes. I mean, it's not a myth. It's just sort of like color theory. Like,
right. I think that's interesting.
I think silver looks better on me. Right.
You think silver does?
I think silver looks better on me than gold, but I'm also just not partial to gold in general, so it could be a bias thing.
I feel the same way.
I'm not great with color, despite being at one time being an art major. That was never my foray. But I know a little. I know to try to pick up accents. So I've picked silver for everything in this because she wears a silver necklace as well. I say silver, and we'll get into the necklace. So the necklace is interesting. So you look at the necklace, and in the original artwork, it just sort of looks like a little black ribbon that's tied together, and you can definitely do that. You can definitely just take a black ribbon or a black string, tie it in a bow, and call it a day. If you look at some more of her updated artwork, it looks like it's a long strand, and it's pulled together, and it's clasped with a little flower charm, which is a nice little call to her being a little flower girl and stuff like that. So I'm like looking at this necklace, and I'm like, this looks familiar. This looks familiar. What does this style look like? This necklace looks like a bolo tie. So, and if you don't know what a bolo tie is, are you aware of what a bolo tie is, Michelle?
Yes, I know what a bolo tie is.
Okay, some people do.
But that is because I'm looking at it, honestly. Okay. If you said it, I don't know if I would have gotten it.
Yeah, it's one of those things that like gets made fun of a lot. I notice like it's always like a joke, like the nerdy or out of touch character will wear a bolo tie. But honestly, it looks like what she's wearing looks like a bolo tie, but worn differently. Because I was like, clasp necklace. So what I went and I found this bolo tie that's a black cord with this nice silver detailing on each of the ends, and it has like a little flowery clasp. You just wrap it the same way that she does and call it a day, and it's $10. Like, I think that's if that's what you want to do, but also you can just go get some black cord. This is to the point where like this is one of the things that I think you could just craft shop instead of actually trying to order this or have something around your house.
I have a point of note on this. I actually I don't know if it's like Walmart, Claire's, some kind of place like that, but if you go and like a lot of places are selling the choker sets, you know, where it'll come with like the old like 90s style choker and then like a flat style velvet choker. I bought one of those like 3-in-1 sets for, I don't know, probably $5 or less. And one of the necklaces it came with was one of those like black ribbon tie necklaces with like a little bit of silver on the ends. And I promise you that would work just as well. And I bet you any Walmart or any kind of place like that would have like that choker set that's got the like black corded necklace in it that you could also buy for pretty cheap if you had time to shop around.
Luckily, this style of necklace is actually in style. Like these ribbony necklace and chokers and stuff like that, which basically is what she's wearing. It's just a long thing that she's kind of turned into a choker / bolo tie.
Yep.
So it's very easy to find stuff that's very cheap. So that was definitely a much easier one than I expected it to be. One of her other accessories that she has is just a pink bow, and it's what she keeps her hair back and like a twist. It's not a braid, it's not a ponytail. It's literally like you took two pieces of your hair and you made them a twist. And she's got this pink thing, and it actually has. And this is getting to one of the questions that you had about like why are there marbles in this list? In the game, Aerith is in possession of what's called a white materia. And it looks like a little white green marble. And it is a major plot point at a significant portion of the game, and it's basically like this one thing that can counter this other black materia. So anyway, Aeris is in possession of this, and she keeps it hidden in her hair in this bow. And when she dies, again, spoiler warnings, when she dies and she falls forward, her hair bow comes undone, and this materia falls out and bounces down the stairs and disappears into the water. And it looks a lot like this big shooter marble, and I thought it would be a really cool ad to attach this thing in whatever way you want as a key, like a little keychain. You want to hot glue it onto the bow, whatever, but it also glows in the dark. So
that would be so
which
fun.
these things
That's neat.
And I think that would be a really nice nod to the people who played the game and would understand what that is. And this is another thing that I think you could go to a craft store and find. You don't have to buy the $10 thing of marbles. Just go to a craft store, find a marble. Like get a white or a green marble, and because in the game it's like a whitish green. It's not just purely white. So I think that would be a really cool little ad to do, and to make your costume a little bit different than everybody else that might be playing Aerith at some point.
I like the small details you think of.
I would try to make it unique for people. I don't want it to just be, look like everybody else out there, I guess. But one of the other things, so like as you can see from a lot of this costume, there's not a ton that makes Aerith look particularly unique as far as a character design goes. Like if she wasn't so well known, she wouldn't like be recognizable, if that makes sense. Like there's not like one item that's like that's Aeris, or like that's whatever. It's
right.
A pink dress and a bolero jacket. So, but one of the things that is unique is the cat ear hair that you said. Aeris has a very unique hairstyle. It's typically some very high bangs and like twisty, curly side, pieces that kind of fall over the front of your shoulders, and then you're in a ponytail that's like twisted. If you have brown hair that's long, like me, I would not buy a wig. If this were me personally, I would not buy a wig. I'd just tease my bangs up,
right.
and I would twist my hair, and that's what I would do. However, if you do not have long brown hair, they do make wigs specifically for this character. And because it is such a unique hairstyle, I found one that was $25 and $7 to ship. And honestly, to me, that would be worth it.
Yeah. It looks good too, honestly.
I think it looks good. I wasn't able to find any review pictures on it, which is the only hesitance. But it does have a return policy on it, and there were other ones out there. This was not the only one that existed, but it was the one that looked the closest to it, and it had a ton of product pictures. I get a little wary if they only have one or two product pictures, but this had like full turnaround, like close up of the wig cap and everything. So to me, this seems like a fairly legit item. It's not like a small time seller or anything. So again, it depends on how much you want to spend, how much you have access to. But personally, if I didn't have my hair, like if I had your hair, Michelle, I would get this. Because
Yeah.
as much as you could do the bangs and stuff, you're not going to get very much length.
Yes, exactly. I think it would be good. I mean, even for me, I might even go as simple as getting like a ponytail extension and twisting that and using my natural hair even. You could do that if you have short brown hair, then you could probably like style your bangs in a way that could work. And then just like, if you can just create a ponytail, which I could do, even though I'd have little wispies, but you could curl those. And then just get one of those just ponytail extenders that you kind of clip on top of your ponytail. And then you could twist that and put the ribbon in with it. And I think that would read just as well. And potentially
it would.
cheaper for you, you know?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned it because I forgot to mention it because I was going to say that too, because that's what I did with my Bridget cosplay is I have just the ponytail clip-ons and they're like the exact same color as my hair. And they're curly and they're great and you don't have to actually like worry about really doing your hair outside like the front, and it's a lot more comfortable than a wig if you're doing it
That's
for
what
an
I
extended
thought. I
period.
think that would be easier to wear all day.
Yes,
But
definitely
I mean,
will be.
I've definitely worn a wig all day. It's not impossible, but it's just another option for sure.
It is. So that's pretty much, I believe that is all of Aeris. Oh,
I
I
am
was
just
going to
in
touch on
love with
one.
this jacket.
Isn't it great?
It's so
I
good.
legit loved that jacket.
I
I did
want
want
it
to
to
touch on one
myself.
more thing.
Okay,
Oh,
go.
get it. $40. One more thing. So, and we don't get to talk about props and weaponry much on this podcast because most of them are banned. And there's
Yeah.
also just not a lot that you can really closet cosplay and that sort of thing. But Aeris's weapon is actually very, very simple. It's basically a pole with like two thicker ends. Like it looks like, I told Michelle before we were talking about this, or before we were recording, I was like, you could make this with a broom handle and two pieces of cut pole noodles, like, and then spray paint it silver. Like, it's an incredibly easy item to create if you really wanted to do it. Uh, Now, obviously, you can make it a little bit more detailed, but it doesn't need to be that interesting. So you could do this. I would honestly just suggest like looking at it, finding something that's like pole-like, finding a foam, insulating foam is actually really nice too because it usually is. It comes already split, and it has sealant in between. So you would just like tear the things off and then press them together, and it would be sealed. And so like you would already have it done, and you just spray paint it silver, and like that would be her weapon, and it would make a really really good prop. But again, as always, we're going to caution, check with the venue before you ever bring in anything that looks like a weapon.
I mean, you could take the pictures outside the con, leave it in the car. You know what I mean? And then just walk in.
Exactly. And that
But
wouldn't be
before
such a
you
big
walk
one.
in with something and get turned around and have to walk 3 miles back to your car, I would check.
Yeah, and especially like with this, it's such a cheap item to make, and it really is nice for the kind of completion of the look that even if you had to leave it in your car, like it's like a couple bucks worth of materials to make. That would be worth it to me for some really nice pictures. But yeah, other than that, that's Aerith. Aerith.
Good job, you did it.
I did it, and I hope Maddie is pleased. Maddie, you'll have to let us know how we did.
Yes, I mean, I love it. I think it's great. Like I said, I love any cosplays that I can reuse items in my actual wardrobe because to me that just it goes a lot further. And like I said, I'm about to buy this jacket right now because I just love it so much. I think it's a great pick. I think it looks so good. But yeah, I think you did a great job. And you can find everything we're talking about. We're going to provide you with a link to this Amazon list that you can, you know, kind of follow along with us and see what we're looking at, see what we've talked about. And if you'd like to fill out our suggestion form, you can find that as well online on our Facebook, on our link tree. I think it's just in a lot of different places.
All over the places. The easiest place to find it is I always include it in the description for the episode, so you can always follow it from there. That's typically the easiest place, depending on where you're listening. Sometimes the link is directly clickable, and sometimes it's not. But either way, definitely go fill us out another suggestion. I love doing these. Michelle loves doing them, and we love doing them together and presenting whatever we figure out for you guys.
It's a fun challenge for us. We love to do it. So keep sending the suggestions in. More ideas. Maybe you want to hear a topic discussed. Whatever you want to hear from us, just reach out. Let us know. And we will see or, talk to you guys next time here on the podcast.
That's exactly right.
Bye, guys.